let's start off with the fact that McLaren, before we diss them too much, they were probably the second best car in this race in this weekend, or along with Red Bull. Those were the two best cars. I'm not going to put Ferrari there. So, and they had problems because of imbalance of the car. Here's why I say they're clowns. Number one, they never addressed setup issues. They didn't get it right. They didn't get the balance right on this track, given that it's a track that they don't do well in. We've seen Verstappen and Red Bull on tracks where they're not good, where they make sacrifices, cut wings. So in other words, McLaren doesn't do any innovation setup to setup. That's the first reason they're clowns. Second reason they're clowns is that over the past 2 weeks, Norris has had 10 seconds for 2 pit stops. 6 plus 4, 10. Rubbish. They made Piastri, and Piastri's a clown too. They made him give up his place to Norris, and he did it. Talking about it's only 3 points. Well, now you lose 6 points today to Norris because you had a bad start. So, and remember what I said at Falabi last week? He will come to rue the day he gave up those 3 points, which he said are small. What do you think of Falabi?
I agree with you. And if you look at their performance, it appears that in the early season, they relied on a very, very narrow, setup window. But when
Yeah,
conditions start to change, it appears that they're ill-equipped to adapt to such conditions. And the drivers start to make errors, you know, errors that are avoidable. The wind and the track changes, as well as the inability of the drivers to adapt, I think really exposed them. Plus the
yeah.
strategy. I mean, look at Lando Norris's pit. That was ridiculous for crying out loud. And then persistent tire deg.
That
You know,
cost him a position. You would have beaten Yuki if not for that 4 second pit stop.
yes, they would have, and then persistent tire degradation. I think it's a cocktail of all these issues that has led to a very embarrassing weekend by their own high standards. And it has,
Yeah,
placed the championship, firmly, open now. It has opened up the championship now. And a
yeah.
championship that Piastri looked to be running away with looks threatening now, really.
And Norris is even more ridiculous because Piastri went into the wall yesterday. Norris should have been he should have been P1 or P2 in qualifying. You're behind by 30 points and your competitor goes into the wall and you fail to take advantage of it. You know what they say? Champions are people who take advantage of luck. Because we say everybody's lucky. Verstappen's lucky. Both of his parents are rich and they're both drivers. Schumacher, but he took advantage of his luck.
Of course.
All of these guys are lucky. This guy crashed into the wall. Then Norris brushed the wall and it destroyed his qualifying. Then Piastri, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, jump started, then hitched his car and messed up again. But meanwhile, Norris lost two positions at the start, or one position at the start. Then Norris let Leclerc jump him on a restart. Both of them are moo They're both fools. Both of them. They're both fools. Both of them. I'm very shocked at Piastri. I thought Piastri was cold-blooded and was able. Remember when people, even we, 5 weeks ago, Piastri and Verstappen would be fighting for years to come. Fighting for what? For the same girlfriend, maybe. That's about it. And I feel bad about us putting down George Russell. Once again, Russell's there at the front. You get my point. Let it be
Yeah.
said, nobody should ever mention Piastri as the greatest of his time, as the greatest youth. He has a good car. If you put Haja in that McLaren, he will do just as well as Piastri. If you put Bortoleto in that McLaren. So I think Piastri has been overhyped. I'm very disappointed in this guy, man. He made so many mistakes this weekend. I know part of it was the handling of the car. And here's where it all started. Here's when I knew the guy had no guts. When he gave that place back to Norris last week, when he clearly should have kept it. That was the litmus test for Piastri. Nobody else Verstappen wouldn't have done it. Senna would have done it. Lewis Hamilton wouldn't have done it.
Even
Rosberg
Michael
wouldn't have done it.
Schumacher won't have done
Alonso
it.
wouldn't have done it. Schumacher wouldn't have done it. So from now on, I don't want to ever hear anybody mention Piastri as an up and coming great. He's just a boy with a fast car. What do you think, Ole?
It's unfortunate with Piastri falling out of this race. I think he could have actually won this race if he had been more focused and not had the crashes that he had done.
Yeah.
I think I remember I'd said previously wrongly that he was crashing all the time, but he wasn't. But now
Now
I
he
see
is.
puts a bit of a curse on his head
Yeah.
because I think he dropped 25 possible points today, and his teammate Norris wasn't able to take advantage of it because the pit crew let him down for the second time. McLaren are having problems in their team. Their team does have problems with racecraft. it does have problems with the pit stops and working on the car.
Strategy.
I think that might even have contributed to Piastri not feeling settled enough and a bit rushed and desperate in terms of crashing. I know that whatever we want to say, nobody plans to crash in any race because it just ruins your entire weekend. So I think they have a lot to work on, McLaren. They have a lot to work on. You have the fastest car, and you're struggling to finish. I mean, they're so far behind in the constructors that it's a joke. I mean, they're 300 points ahead of the next team in it. So that tells you how far and away the car is better, than these other cars. We are looking at one-on-one races from race to race. That'll tell you who the best driver is. The constructors tells you who the best cars are. So that's why at the moment it is looking quite disappointing for McLaren. And they need to, I mean, this thing of aiding Norris, you can't be anti-competitive in a competitive environment. It affects the team and their motivations and the people working in behind for each team, rooting for each driver to outdo the other. And when you remove that, you're removing an edge. That edge, I do think, is required for excellence. You just have to learn how to manage it. But if you blunt it, it'll affect your team negatively.
And by doing that, first of all, Norris is not a serious driver. What that means, he makes a lot of mistakes. By making this guy, it was almost like saying, bend over and let me fuck you. They did that to Piastri, and I think that broke his psyche because he hasn't been the same since he tanned it over, because that was an act of weak. He emasculated himself last week. Go ahead. And it's going to be hard for him to come back from that. Go ahead. What do you think, Kunle?
Yeah, Piastri is being made to drive like a non-competitive driver too. I know that they're trying to say that, look, it's not because he was driver two that he was given, that he was allowed to overtake that all the time, that they're just being fair. But I don't really think so. But I think the McLaren overall, their team is getting sloppy. Their mechanics are working hard, but this team has to shape it up. I think their racecraft is also poor, as well as the tie, as well as the pit crew. There are weaknesses in that team. Just not in the car. Ferrari have the speed, but they just have irresponsible engineers. But McLaren's problem is not the car. McLaren's problem is everything else but the car. They need to sort out their pit crews, because 20 seconds in two races is unacceptable.
What about... Go ahead, sorry. Yeah.
And they need to sort out their race strategy, because Lando Norris, with better race strategy, even as he got there, shouldn't be finishing seventh. He should be finishing on a bad day, third or fourth.
Norris himself had a bad start. He let somebody pass him. Then at the restart, he let Leclerc pass him. Norris should have come third in this race.
Yeah.
But here's the question: where is Andrea Stella? I'm going to say it again. Andrea Stella is not a team principal or a technical director. Andrea Stella is the PR officer for McLaren. He's the PR officer. After the race, they say, well, we did this, we did that, we work on it. He always talks some bullshit. Our team is okay. We will look at the data and we will make decisions. He never says anything tangible at all. Even Vasseur, who I argue about, Vasseur does say things about the car technically and can own up when they make mistakes. I don't know who's running that team. I didn't even see Zach Brown this whole weekend.
Do they use sports psychologists in F1? Because I think Lando's problem is mental.
They don't. Some of the teams do. Some of the teams do. McLaren doesn't.
Lando's issues are mental and psychological. He didn't look prepared for this weekend at all.
And there's a toxic atmosphere in that team. I mean, I know it wasn't cheating. As soon as Piastri had a problem at the start, my first instinct was they damaged his car so that this guy could do well. Even though that's not true, the fact that I thought that shows you that there's some suspicion in that team of favoritism. What are your thoughts, Mr. Johnny? Yeah, but you're right, Afabi. They need sports psychologists. A lot of athletes do have it in F1, but some don't. What do you think, Mr. Johnny?
Yeah, McLaren, man. They've talking about them. Yeah, they've been kind of like claustrophobic the whole weekend. They've been kissing the walls all weekend. All practice sessions, and then Piastri, man, he's out. As in him going out, I think he was more claustrophobic than all. He couldn't take it because, I don't know. Yeah. And now, but then the pity, something like Norris now, as you said, if he was a serious driver now, he'd be finishing at least to have won that race or at least finish second or third, at least be on the podium now, take a nice chunk out of Piastri's lead, but no way, he's just there. So kind of like boring.
Also, they backdoor themselves because coming into this week, I was watching F1 TV, British Norris.com. That's F1 TV. They said there's no way they won't win the constructors today because it's mathematically impossible. Because in order for them to not win constructors, two of them have to not be on the podium. Impossible. Norris cursed himself. He said 2025 is my year. When these words are curses.
That must be Sky Sports. That must be Sky Sports.
Yeah, Sky Sports. They said it's impossible. We know it's going to happen this weekend. So in other words, once you start believing the hype, same thing with Piastri, cold-blooded killer. He's the new Senna. Next thing you know, he's not the new Senna. He's the new Serena. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Have you ever heard Verstappen ever say, "I'm the man. I'm going to beat up people"? Have you ever heard him say it? Or even Lewis Hamilton. The only time when Lewis Hamilton had that meltdown and said, you don't know me. But have you ever, most of these guys, or Verstappen and
stuff like that.
Alonso, you don't hear them talking trash. Trash is for boxing. When you're boxing.
Of course, he does his talking on the track. Max does his talking on the track.
No, because they know that, to be honest with you, once you start talking, you kind of set yourself up for failure because you know what they say, don't hand in a check that you can't cash. Remember Ben Johnson? Ben Johnson be caught, he didn't say anything. He just went and ran and then got caught for steroids. But anyway, so let's move to the last.